Status and functions of English in expanding and outer circle countries can be discussed with respect to two dimensions. One is range, the other is depth. Let's take a look at range first. By range, we mean that English performs a large number of functions in these countries. So, English performs a wide range of functions in these countries. For example, in the outer circle countries, it is used in education at all levels, early years of school, and also in higher education. It is used in business in both outer circle countries and expanding circle countries. In legal system, it is used in many outer circle countries where it has the official status. It is used for administration again in many outer circle countries. In terms of social functions, it is used in personal family circles in many outer circle countries. And it is becoming more and more fashionable in some expanding circle countries as well to use English for social purposes. And like it is a practice in Pakistan that they would hire English-speaking Filipino nannies so that children have access to English, more ready access to English. In China also, the rich people would hire English-speaking nannies to make sure that children learn English language at home and are able to use it in social situations as well. English is also the language of social networks, especially in the outer circle countries, though in many of the expanding circle countries, social networks still use their local languages. Just as English has a wide range of functions in these countries, outer and expanding circle countries, different varieties of English is also used in these countries. For example, it is not that a country will stick to, let's say, the British variety or the American variety. They keep switching between varieties. And the choice of variety depends on the kind of identity you want to assert. Sometimes it is that you want to assert a certain cultural kind of identity or some socio-economic kind of identity. So perhaps it is considered more fashionable in your socio-economic culture to use American English. You would resort to using American English. And if it is the British English, which is considered more prestigious, you will use British English. So there's so much switch between varieties in expanding circle countries and also in some outer circle countries that the choice of variety is linked with identity. And because of this switching between the varieties, sometimes people would use different varieties even in the same utterance. So when in a conversation, in one utterance, in one part of the utterance, you may use American variety, and in the other part, the British variety. And of course, switching between varieties is very common across utterances. In terms of depth, we mean the penetration of English in society. What is the number of people and what kind of people, what kind of socioeconomic groups, what different communities use English. So in terms of depth, different educational levels use English now. And also English is used at different socioeconomic levels. There was a time when English was extremely restricted to the upper ladders of society in both outer and expanding circle countries. But gradually, more and more people who are at the lower levels of lower socioeconomic levels also have comparatively more access to English. Similarly, people with different jobs and professions have access to English. In fact, in certain professions, we do not have the local equivalents of certain words which are used. So English may be used by blue-collar workers and also by people who follow more prestigious professions like doctors and professors and engineers, etc. Just as the English language is used by different socioeconomic people from different socioeconomic levels, we have difference in the degree of proficiency which is demonstrated by these people. Of course, because they come from different socioeconomic backgrounds and also from different educational backgrounds. So we see a kleiner proficiency, which means that we can look at proficiency of people from expanding an outer circle on a continuum. People who are at the two ends of the continuum are very different in terms of degree of proficiency, and people who are close to each other may have very similar kind of proficiency in the English language. So people who have little access to English, little exposure to English, people who have comparatively less education, who follow blue collar jobs, they follow a variety of English which can be called a basilect, which means non-standard English. And people who are at the higher socioeconomic level, who have better education, etc., they use acrolect, which means a standard form of English. So in outer expanding circle countries, we see English performing a wide range of functions and also penetrating different levels of society.